Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about some key players in the new financial system. Of course, this video is referring to XRP, XLM, and some of the other ISO 20022 standard coins that are about to become the standard for the new financial system. Before we dive into everything, I want to start with a breaking update from Eleanor Terrett on the Ripple versus the SEC lawsuit. Now, it's very interesting, and one can only but wonder why we've seen the SEC drop cases pretty much against everybody who they've been going after, except for Ripple. Now, there's a lot of speculation on the back end of this. Eleanor Terrett here, who of course is from, I believe she was from Fox Business, but is a journalist, a good journalist, somebody that's well worth following, has just dropped this scoop. Two well-placed sources tell me that the SEC versus Ripple case is in the process of wrapping up and could be over soon. My understanding is that the delay in reaching an agreement is due to Ripple's legal team negotiating more favorable terms regarding the August District Court ruling, which imposed a $127 million fine on the company and included a permanent injunction preventing the company from selling XRP to institutional investors. That kind of is or has been one of Ripple's business models, and of course, that would kind of hinder them somewhat. It would mean they'd need to go to the free market, which might actually be bullish for XRP. Certainly if it's going to play this staple role that I believe it's going to, and we're going to get into that in just a second. So the argument, I'm told, is that if the new SEC leadership is wiping the enforcement slate clean for all previous targeted crypto firms because it believes regulatory clarity will resolve the underlying issue, why should Ripple still be penalized? Accepting the Torres ruling as it stands would mean that Ripple is essentially agreeing to admit to wrongdoing. But now the SEC itself is seemingly unsure whether any wrongdoing occurred. There's no real playbook for this kind of thing, which could explain why this case is taking longer to resolve than the rest. Stay tuned. Now, this case could be over soon. That's kind of an open-ended soon, if you will, but I do believe this is going to be the case. Certainly, we've seen lots of other cases dropped, and I do think there is some resolution taking place. You know, Brad Garlinghouse himself has been to the White House on numerous occasions. It's unlikely that this is going to go against XRP, Ripple, Brad, and Chris, in my opinion. But this is breaking. I wanted to share this before I dive into what the premise of this video is going to be about. And I want us to go back and remember what the Bank of America CEO had to say about utilizing this technologies like Ripple, which of course they have a patent on, or XLM, to essentially enable this new financial system, a new form of money. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say not that long ago.
The possibility that Bitcoin and some of these cryptocurrencies actually are a threat to the U.S. dollar. Scott Bessent's talked about needing the U.S. dollar to be super powerful.
Yeah.
Is it a threat?
I think there's a whole bunch of dynamics about all the trade and all the consumption of the U.S. consumer and all the stuff that goes on. But I think we do need a strong U.S. dollar. We need a U.S. dollar to be reserve currency. It's good for our country. But what I'm saying is if you go down the street here and you go in and buy lunch, right, if you can pay with Visa, MasterCard, a debit card, Apple Pay, et cetera, this will just be another form of payment in an instantaneous cash transfer. And so I think if it becomes regulatory okay, which it wasn't before, and that's one of the issues, you'll see the banking system enter with, we have hundreds of patents on blockchain already. We know how to enter the field. When you get to the investment side and the Bitcoin stuff, that's really a separate question. That's more on the investment side. From the transactional side, I think you'll see the banking industry make moves. Pretty clear there's going to be a stable coin, which is going to be a fully dollar-backed type of thing, which is no different than a money market fund with check access. Is no different than a bank account, really. And so, if they make that legal, we'll go into that business. So you'll have a Bank of America coin and a U.S. dollar deposit, and we'll be able to move them back and forth because now it hasn't been legal for us to do it, but it's just then like another foreign currency. The question.
So what he was talking about was if regulatory clarity permissions the banking system as a whole, not just Bank of America, to enter this new form or to enable this new form of payments, then they will. And just the other day, and this is why I've put XLM and XRP together here, Jeremy O'Leary, of course, is the CEO of Circle, a company that issues the majority of their USDC on XLM. I think XLM and XRP are both going to play key roles here, perhaps in a different manner. But he tweeted, "Let's go. Banks using USDC coming soon to a blockchain near you. We're excited about wiring up the existing financial system to the new internet financial system. Circlement is open for business." And this, of course, was the comptroller. The OCC reaffirmed that crypto asset custody holding deposits that serve as reserve backing stablecoins and the use of distributed ledger technology and stablecoins to facilitate permissionable payment activities are permissible in the federal banking system. So that means all banks essentially can take part in this. This was from the Financial Services GOP. Stablecoins are increasingly used for payrolls, trade settlement, business transfers, remittances, cross-border payments, etc., etc., etc. And actually, just the other day, and we'll link all this to, and we'll play the clip at the end of the video, we did have Scott Bessent come out and say we're going to use and utilize stablecoins to ultimately insure the dollar globally. They really are a CBDC. There's nothing different. They're backed by central bank issued debt, essentially, or will be. So it's almost like instead of your banks just going and having an account with the central bank, it's now democratizing that to the world. And actually, this is part of the dollar's dominance. And they're going to use technology companies like Ripple, in my opinion, to do it, which I do think is going to IPO. Let us now play a clip. Rodney Hood, who, of course, is the kind of chair of the comptroller for currencies. This is the guy that sets the rules. And I played this in my daily market update because this is the bullish undertones of what's taking place right now cannot be understated. This sector is getting ready to be used and utilized by all financial institutions for the same reasons that we stopped sending letters and started sending emails. It simply upgrades them. It solves major issues. And the fact that people are bearish right now, and we'll look at XRP and XLM's chart in just a second, is absolutely crazy. Let's play this clip of Rodney Hood.
Because I want there to be a seamless experience. I think one of the questions you're asking about what some of the questions are, many of the credit unions still want to know, do they have our imprimatur at NCUA to embrace fintech technology? Do they have our imprimatur to embrace blockchain, distributed ledger technology, and even engaging in digital assets? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. They have our imprimatur. We've not had to give a rulemaking because our statutes, our legislation and regulations, they currently now allow them to engage in those activities. But as they would with any activity, do it prudently and pragmatically. Are you going through the appropriate due diligence? We as an agency, we were one of the few agencies that really did tell our regulated entities that you are more than welcome when it came to digital assets. And we're looking at, are you doing the appropriate vetting, the vendor due diligence? Are you looking at a lot of the other things that you would do if you were really embarking upon any other relationship? And I know our peer regulators have taken a different stance where they're saying, well, we're not going to tell you can do it. You need to ask us for permission, right. and we will give you a letter saying we're not denying it. Mm-hmm. But that type of regulatory uncertainty and regulatory vacuum is what we're trying to prevent at the agency. So I think many of our regulated entities will say that we've been very forthright, been very forward, and I'm very proud that all three board members are so in unison and wanting to embrace the technology. I mean, I really had really great joy when I was able to get all of their support in creating the new office and moving forward with some of the other ideas with the new fintech director position. So I think the one thing that I hope comes loudly and clearly from our conversation today is that we do not want to stand in your way, provided you're going through the appropriate due diligence as you would with any third-party vendor, as you would engage with any partnership. I think you need to measure the complexity, measure the risk as you would with any activity.
Huge. These are the people that are literally in charge of the comptroller for currency, are the people literally in charge of oversight for all banks within the United States. And they're saying, go ahead, embrace this. And the Bank of America CEO at the start literally said, we're just waiting for that green light and we will enter it in a big way. He's not going to be the only one. The question you have to ask and answer as an investor in this sector is, well, who is going to enable this? I believe XRP, I believe the likes of XLM, I think some of the other ISO 20022 standard cryptocurrencies. If you look at the banking sector as it is right now, it runs off of standards globally. And it's very logical to expect them to maintain standards, but for cryptocurrencies to comply with them. And there are ISO coins that are currently compliant and ultimately, I believe, getting ready to sort of take on that role of enabling digital money and a new financial system, a tokenized financial system. And actually those, I hold a lot of those, we're still doing very well on them. those cryptocurrencies, I believe, could make you unbelievably rich. Let's listen again and play another clip here of Scott Bessent, who, of course, is the Treasury Secretary, saying they are going to use and utilize stablecoins to enable America's dollar dominance globally.
A lot of thought into the stablecoin regime, and as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that.
Is that not making this a very clear picture? Now, we are going to live in a world where there are both private and public blockchains. And I think public blockchains see far more traction, certainly in regards to global dominance. It's just unbelievable to me that people aren't more excited about all of this, because they truly need to be. I have no idea how high XRP's price is going to go. I have to be absolutely honest in terms of just how high it could go. I think $19.27, that'll be a 33x for me in my community. I'm over the moon with that, but it could go significantly higher. And if it plays this kind of critical role in this new financial system, and I think if you look at the technologies out there that are leading in what all central banks, all governments are signaling right now, it's quite a clear picture. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it from me. Let me know your thoughts on the price prediction, everything we've covered in this video. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon.